My name is Elliott Greenblott, but many people call me Mr. Scammer because for the past 3 years, I've worked with AARP as the program coordinator for AARP Vermont's Fraud Watch. Today we're going to take another look at what I identified previously as identity theft. And in order to do that, we're going to review some of the definitions of identity theft and data breach, and also personally identifiable information. We'll start with identity theft, and in doing that, we really do have to understand what a data breach is. A data breach is a security incident that involves sensitive, protected information, confidential information that exposed, it's transmitted, and it could be viewed by an unauthorized person. The incident that takes place may be intentional. In other words, somebody may be looking for your data, or it might be something very unintentional where you release personally identifiable information that can be hacked or shared, or in some cases just plain lost. So what is identity theft? It's when somebody makes the decision to take that information that you've lost and then uses it in order to commit a crime. And that crime is most often some financial crime, but it could be simply a malicious act. Some examples of identity information, personally identifiable information, are the following. Your name, and that would be your full name, including any middle name that you might have, your home address, your birth date, email address or email addresses. Now, many people do have more than one email address, so it's important to keep that factor in mind. Your social security number is a very critical piece of information because it can't be changed, it can't be altered. So once that information is out, somebody has your social security number, it's good for life, your life, and even then after you die. Your passport number, your driver's license number, credit card numbers, login credentials, in other words, how you get online if you use a computer, your passwords, your birthplace, your birth date, your medical records. If you were in the military, your military credentials and records, and then insurance information. So there's a great deal of personally identifiable information that criminals can get their hands on and that criminals are able to take into consideration when they try to use that information to commit crime. We're going to take a look at one particular criminal, and for identity's sake, we're going to call her Alice, but that's not her real name. It's been changed to protect her identity. She is a convicted identity thief, and she'll give you a little bit of insight into how an identity thief works and the type of information that they get and how they get it.
So how do you avoid becoming an identity theft victim? To find out, we went to the source. Meet Alice, not her real name. She's a convicted identity thief, as is Kevin, not his real name either. Alice and Kevin are experts because they're part of the underworld of identity thieves, most with one thing in common.
My drug use was 100% a driving factor for why I did crime.
When we first meet Alice, she's detoxed from meth addiction and in jail on 7 counts of identity theft. After her release, as part of her probation program, she agreed to be our guide on a crime scene tour.
Okay.
To protect Alice's identity, she's wearing a disguise. Our tour takes us to parking lots, through city streets, quiet neighborhoods, regular places where people do regular things.
Turn right here. This is your standard gym parking lot.
This all-hours gym parking lot is perfect for car prowls. Why? Because while people are working out, they aren't exercising good sense by leaving valuables in their car.
And so we're sitting in the parking garage just waiting for somebody to make a mistake. They also put their laptops in the trunk, is a very common thing, and we watch them put their laptops in the trunk. This is obviously a man's car. We'd probably hit that one for sure because he probably left his wallet in the glove box. And guys have a tendency to put their PIN numbers or leave their social security cards and that kind of stuff in their wallets. See, so like this lady is going into the gym and she doesn't have anything with her. She's putting her stuff in the back and leaving. to go in the gym. And so we hit that car real quick.
And if you think security guards and cameras are a deterrent, think again.
This is the security guy's truck. We've broken into that twice. He doesn't even lock his door. It does say that there's cameras, but there are in fact no cameras. We've checked.
Next, it's one-stop stealing at a busy multi-level shopping garage. Each time a car is loaded up with purchases, someone is watching.
Okay, so this is great because people are parking, they're going in shopping. Got multiple different stores accessible from the parking garage. So yeah, so see, like this guy, he could be putting all of his stuff in his vehicle and then going down to another store because he doesn't want to take it around with him. He can't take the other cart with him. Minivans are great because people leave all kinds of stuff in minivans. Oh, this Ford truck could get into that really easy. Okay, stop. This right here, see, they've got their windows down. I can reach my arm in there and open that. So I'm going to hit that even if I don't think there's anything in it.
Another example of a cash cow for thieves is a zoo parking lot. That's because it's full of tourists and distracted parents who are sure to be away from their car for hours.
Out-of-state plates are great because people come with a lot of money. Anybody with a stroller is a good mark because they don't want to carry all their stuff with them. They put their purse in the trunk and a baby stroller comes out and they're good to go. Okay, see the back of this car's got a bunch of stuff in the back, right?
Yeah.
All right, and it's also got the carrier on top. And look at that, you know a family's traveling in that. It's got luggage in it, it's probably got a laptop in it, it's got a ton of stuff. Plus I could sit and watch these people park and open their back of their car so I can see everything in it and whether I want anything in it or not.
The last leg of our tour takes us to unsecured mailboxes. For identity thieves, they're a gold mine.
These people obviously don't check their mail often, and if they do, look at there's a little packet thing right in front, that envelope, that manila envelope, that's got my attention right away.
It's called mailboxing, slang for stealing from mailboxes. For identity thieves, your red flag is a green light to grab outgoing mail.
Somebody will be in the car and will actually flag, and the car will stop immediately. Well, we know what that means. And so outgoing mail is really good for getting bank account numbers and things of that sort because you send your outgoing checks to make payments on things.
And if your mailbox isn't locked, delivered mail contains bank statements, credit card offers, tax forms. Once they get your information and create their fake identity thieves can steal money you don't even have.
Right now, what we see most is ID thieves opening new accounts instead of just draining your current or existing bank account.
Mafe Rahul is a senior deputy prosecuting attorney specializing in identity theft and other economic crimes. She says identity thieves steal not just your money, but any of your credit they can find. The thieves then rush to convert your credit to cash.
A lot of times we first learn of suspect because they are caught on video using a victim's credit card or a victim's ID.
I would say that the main thing that you use other people's credit for is to buy things that you know that you can sell. Department stores were really good because department stores have gold. Gold is an asset that can be immediately turned into cash.
As part of a crime ring, Kevin was the master ID maker. Raul shows us a sampling of his talent. He says he made between $50,000 to $100,000 a month in identity theft.
Within any identity theft ring, people do tend to specialize. Typically, there's somebody who does the fake identifications, somebody else who will do the online IT, if you will, types of crime, or somebody else who will do the stealing of the information through car prowls, through burglaries of homes, or through stealing mail from mailboxes.
So you've seen what happens when an identity thief actually does the type of work that they do. Let's take a look at some of the clues now that will let you know that there's maybe something that has happened to your information. There are some major clues. These are only 5 of the basic ones. There are probably 20 or 30 different indicators, but these are the ones that happen most frequently. First, notice whether or not regular bills that you expect are coming in the mail or they fail to arrive. In other words, this would be mortgage notification, credit card bills. If you stop receiving bills, you need to notify the source of that information or that bill. So if it's a bank with a mortgage, call the bank, find out why the expected bill did not come. It does mean you have to do a little bit of legwork, though. You need to go out and check on when those dates are and note them on a calendar so that you know when to expect them. You also should be looking for, in the second case, whether or not you're being rejected for credit. And this could be an extension of a loan, it could be a new mortgage, it could be the purchase of a car that involves a lease. But if you're rejected for credit, that's often a very good clue that somebody's taken over your identity, particularly if you know that your credit rating is very good and your credit score is fairly high. The third point, if there's bills for purchases that are coming into you that you know you didn't make, even if it's a small bill, if it's for $1 on a credit card, quite often thieves will use a very small purchase to test whether or not they can carry out the larger one. So look for unexpected charges. Fourthly, if you discover that there's been unauthorized activity in your bank account, criminals are able to get into bank accounts and sometimes take out small withdrawals. They may end up being a withdrawal that's taken through an ATM machine. So look for any small indicators. If you do use an ATM to take out cash from time to time, note when you do that, put it in your checkbook or make a note so that you know it was you who actually took that money out. And then the fifth major piece that we think is kind of important and usually scares people a little bit is you receive a legitimate contact from the IRS. And it could involve failure to provide specific information to them. It could involve a problem with your tax refund. But know that the IRS does not send emails. The IRS won't make a phone call in the middle of the night, and the IRS won't threaten you. You'll receive a registered letter or certified letter from the IRS stating that there's an issue or a problem. If you do get a call from an IRS representative, don't call them back with any information that they've given you. Use an independent, verifiable number. Call the IRS. Any IRS office can check your records to see if there's a problem, because once it's flagged in the system, you'll be able to reference that. Let's take another look at a video now. This is one of the victims of Alice's work. Her name is Helen. Again, it was changed to protect her real identity. And this will give you some indication of the kinds of problems that Alice is able to create for anybody once she has the information in hand.
Because Helen didn't monitor her bank accounts, credit cards, or credit reports online, Alice moved in for the kill.
I couldn't even prove that I was who I was because she had taken so much. She had taken my Social Security number, my mother's maiden name, and she had made herself into me.
And I really put her through the ringer. I knew everything about her. And what I didn't know, I changed to what I wanted it to be. And then I took over everything. And she didn't even know. I registered her online for American Express. I issued new cards. I changed the address. I got a full background credit report on her because they have that credit monitoring service. So I just signed her up and printed out everything I needed to know and took over her whole life. Registered her on all three credit bureaus that she wasn't ever registered on. Changed background information, changed her work history, changed her phone numbers. I changed everything. I held her mail. I was her, and she couldn't prove that I wasn't.
As with most identity theft victims, by the time Helen caught on, it was too late.
What I found out when she went online and created accounts for me at all these credit cards, then I was locked out because I didn't know any of the information, and she had all her information in there. And she was able to order new credit cards for my accounts.
When Alice was finally arrested, she had 10 fake IDs in her purse, including Helen's. She had racked up thousands of dollars in debt, and Helen continues to pay the price.
Every time I thought it was over, she would do something again to disrupt my life. This has affected my credit score by lowering it 150 points. It's very hard for me to get credit now.
While you can't protect yourself 100%, You can take effective steps to safeguard your information from exploitation by thieves. Criminals are looking for easy targets, so don't make it easy to target you. Here are some safety tips, both high-tech and low-tech. For the high-tech, establish online access to your accounts and monitor them. Set up passwords to access your phone and computers, so thieves can't easily access the information stored inside. And don't conduct sensitive transactions like banking, shopping, or managing investments on public Wi-Fi. Wait till you're home on a secure network. And for low-tech safety measures, have a locking mailbox. Don't leave sources of your personal information in your car. This includes computers and phones and paper documents that include identifying information. And instead of throwing away or recycling paper with personal information, shred it. As with all crime, authorities need to know about it to stop it.
So if you have been a victim of ID theft, report it. It may not be solved right away, but the more people that report it, the greater the chance that it is that we're going to be able to find the offender and stop other people from being victimized.
So stand up against this devastating crime. For more information on how to protect yourself from identity theft, visit AARP's Fraud Watch Network website at aarp.org/Fraud Watch Network. Consider signing up to become a fraud fighter. You'll receive regular alerts on the latest scams and become part of an army of fraud fighters who are saying no more to con artists, criminals, and thieves. Together, we can fight identity theft. Start by protecting your good name and your good credit today.
Next, I'd like to mention a few things to do if you actually know that your identity has been stolen and now you need to do something to at least stop the hemorrhaging or stop any further exposure. So we're going to just review very quickly 7 steps, and here they are for you to take a look at. The first step is that if you know that your identity's been stolen, if you know that by monitoring those things that we've identified previously, you didn't get the statement from your mortgage company, you're finding additional charges on your credit cards, then the first thing to do is note as much detail as you can about what has happened. If there are names involved, identify the names. If there's contact information, phone numbers, email addresses, even if they're invalid, note those. Note the date and the time that you discovered the particular problem, and any other details. If there's specific items that were purchased on a credit card that were not purchased by you, if there are account numbers involved, specific amounts, all that information can be very helpful to the authorities in trying to track down and solve your problem. Secondly, contact and report any breaches to your banks and to any credit card companies that you have. It's critical that you do that. It will stop them from providing additional resources to criminals. They'll be able to put holds on accounts, issue new credit cards if necessary, transfer your funds before your funds become completely wiped out. So contacting and reporting first to the banks and secondly to the credit card companies, even if it's not involving that particular bank or credit card company. You need to notify everyone. Number 4, notify the 3 or 4 credit bureaus and institute either an alert or what's called a freeze. An alert puts a hold on your account, usually for 90 days. Now that will allow you to do some work without having to worry about your account being breached again. But it's a very temporary thing and it needs to be renewed after 90 days. And if you can't prove that there was actually a theft, then you can't renew the alert. So the other option is to create a freeze or request a freeze, in which case the credit bureaus will hold your information. They will not release it to anybody making an inquiry. And even you cannot establish new credit cards or new loans. You would need to go to that particular credit bureau and ask them to lift the freeze. Sometimes there's a fee involved, as there would be with setting the freeze, but it's a very small fee, $5 to $10. It should be considered as basically insurance. So We've provided you with the information on contacting the credit bureaus. They can be reached by phone or by internet, and you can institute a freeze on your accounts either way. The fifth thing to do is notify the Federal Trade Commission. The FTC is the government bureau that monitors identity theft, and it provides a lot of information to people who are suffering from identity theft, including a recovery plan. You can call the FTC at 877-438-4338, or you can go online to www.identitytheft.gov and file an identity breach report. The next step, file a police report. Once you've gotten all this information together, go to local law enforcement, file a police report, note that you've reported this to the FTC, and then obtain a copy of that report. And the last step, very simply said, but very not so simple to do, create a recovery plan. What are the things that you need to do to put your credit back in good standing and to create a situation where your information is safe? So those are the critical steps, the 7 steps for recovery. Instituting those will bring you back in line to what you need to be able to do with your credit and with your identity. There are 2 important quotations that I'd like to leave you with on this topic. The first one, if you use computers, very important to know that everything that you do, every action you take, and every word that you type or say online is being watched and recorded by somebody or something. Now, folks who've been involved in the latest Facebook breach and situation are very, very aware of that everything that they have indicated on Facebook now is somebody else's information, which can be used to create havoc for them. The other quotation that I want to leave you with is something that I think has become a watchword lately for people who are computer users. A lot of the services that you have on computers are provided to you free. What we know at this point is that there is no free. That whenever something online is free, you're not the consumer, you're the product. Your information is being traded, and that's what you're paying as a way to use that particular software. So we definitely want you to be safe online. We want you to be in a situation where you're not sharing information that can potentially create problems for you as you go forward. We have some important contact information for you to follow, and if you go through the contact lists that we have for you, I think we can provide you with a little more security. So who should you contact, and who's out there to help protect you? Well, first of all, I've already mentioned the Federal Trade Commission. Federal Trade Commission will provide assistance. They have a very active consumer support system available. Secondly, you can go to the credit bureaus themselves. They have a vested interest in protecting you because that's their life money. So credit bureaus are safe to contact for information. You should also contact them in order to get a copy of your current credit report. Credit reports are free, but you should go to the credit report agency that we've listed, which is www.annualcreditreport.com, or the phone number is 877-322-8228. There are several places where you can get so-called free credit reports. You can get them actually from the credit bureaus, or you can get them from other companies. What those companies want to do is sell you other kinds of services as well. This is the sanctioned address for your credit bureau reports. As a U.S. citizen, you're entitled to 1 report each year from each of the credit bureaus. As a resident of Vermont, you're entitled to an additional credit bureau report. What we recommend is that you space them out during the year. Don't get all 3 at the same time, but get one now, get one in a couple months, get one a couple months from that. Remember, you get basically 6 reports during the course of the year. Next, Medicare has become the subject of a lot of fraud, and particularly identity theft. We've provided you with the contact information for Medicare, both in Vermont and the National Medicare contact address, which is www.medicare.gov or 800-633-4227. AARP itself operates with a very intensive personal help system. We have a website, which is aarp.org Fraud Watch Network. That is a great information source. And if you have a problem, if you need some help, AARP operates a free helpline, and that can be called at 877-908-3360. Also, if you have questions for me and you want me to follow up on some of the information that we've provided today, please give me a call or drop me an email. I've provided my phone number and my email address for you to do that. There's been a lot of information provided today. Our number one goal is to educate and to give you a sense of security that, yes, there are a lot of dangers, but there are also a lot of safe steps that you can take. Thank you for watching today.